How many say it's a sickness? Was it that he couldn't sleep? That wasn't it. Was it the drugs? Was it the doctors who gave him what he wanted? Was it all the money and the fame? Was it the words he spoke? Was it his childhood? Was it his father's upbringing? Was it any of them? No, wasn't none of them. Michael died early for one reason. He didn't know God.
The following program contains violence, disturbing imagery, nudity, and, oh my God, why are you even watching this?
On the surface, people cried and wept and mourned. Churches celebrated and wore a glove and sung. They sung his songs, and they didn't know that they were celebrating the most powerful Nephilim our music industry has ever seen. This ancient God that was in this man literally stole your heart with some music. When he transformed himself into a woman, you didn't care. He stole your heart. When child molestation charges were brought up against him, you knew they were false because he stole your heart. When he bought the Beatles anthology so he could channel Aleister Crowley through it, he stole your heart.
You gotta know signs and symbolism. So everybody knows that Michael Jackson tried to buy the Beatles catalog, and a lot of people that's misinformed try to make that look like a good thing. I don't think there's anything good with that at all. The Beatles were into sex magic. They were definitely Aleister Crowley fans. You know, Aleister Crowley is a very wicked man. Stole a lot of Hebrew knowledge, Egyptian knowledge, and turned it into evil shit. And it wasn't even evil until he got his hands on it. People like Aleister Crowley, they use low forms of magic, you know, very low forms. You know, you have to have melanin in order to tap into certain types of magic.
First thing Aleister Crowley teaches you in the 777 is to channel a powerful entity. Most of the time you get it out of a child. We'll talk about that later. But when this entity comes upon you, so what he did, he went and found the worshipers of Sybil, or we would say Cybele. Cybele was an ancient goddess. So those men that worshiped Cybele were different. They were called Corybants. They had their hair dressed and waved like women. They were heavily made up with their faces resembling whitewashed walls. They were castrated and keepers of children and infants, partaking in coming-of-age rituals and celebrations. They practiced magic and divination to make money. Listen to this. They made wild cries or high-pitched shrills while they performed their dances to the music of pipes and dull beats of the tambourine. Listen, when the deity or the goddess would enter into them, they were possessed by divine power. They would dance uncontrollably in ecstatic frenzy.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club. That's a Beatles album. The very first song in that, it talks about Aleister Crowley. No, they were Aleister Crowley fanatics. That's what the Beatles were. They weren't even talented like that. They just used a lot of magic and stuff inside of their music.
Crowley was one of the pantheon of cult figures portrayed on the cover of the Beatles record, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
I can't think of any other occultist who's been more influential on rock musicians than Aleister Crowley, no one close.
And he personally bragged of having slaughtered 150 male children in 1 year. This is why he was called the wickedest man in the world.
And through putting himself in deep hypnotic trances and the use of drugs on himself, he wanted to become the most powerful being in the world.
He was responsible for founding the religion and philosophy of sexual magic, Thelema, in which role he identified himself as the prophet entrusted with guiding humanity into the Aeon of Horus in the early 20th century.
He is a Freemason. It has its roots in Freemasonry and secret societies, which is essentially Luciferian doctrine. That is the sigil of Baphomet, the symbol of Baphomet.
I have found that at the very heart and core of all these secret societies lurks the Kabbalah.
A lot of the Kabbalah, a lot of ancient Egyptian deity as well.
In the Great Pyramid, Crowley conducted an occult ritual intending to access supernatural powers.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love under will.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, and love is the law, love under will.
Do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love is the only law.
I'm me. I'm doing what I want to do.
Dead giveaway that you need to see behind the curtain of Freemasonry. Do what thou wilt. Do whatever you want. That's the adopted motto of the most notorious Satanist of the 20th century, 33rd degree Freemason, Aleister Crowley. Here is his certificate of appointment, known as the 33rd degree inscription and the double-headed eagle of Freemasonry. And here, next to his name on the certificate, including the symbol for a Grand Commander of Freemasonry, as shown in their encyclopedia. But to really confirm that he's a Freemason, here he is doing the Masonic sign of the Master of the Second Veil. Now here's a legitimate letter from Aleister. Again, the addition of his inscription of the 33rd degree, and he signs off with a symbol of the past Commander of Freemasonry. What does he write beside it? Baphomet. This Baphomet. Now listen to this man to get a clearer picture of the truth behind the secret religion of the stars and the leaders of the world. Aleister is the founder of a Luciferian church called the Ordo Templi Orientis, and he named himself the Beast 666, straight from the Bible, depicting the number of wickedness in human form. In his what's called Liber's writings, he says, "With my hawk's head, I peck at the eyes of Jesus as he hangs upon the cross."
So go listen to the Beatles album that has Aleister Crowley on the cover of it, and listen to the first song. It was 20 years to this day.
It was 20 years ago today. Sergeant Pepper taught the band to play.
20 years from the day that album came out is the day that Aleister Crowley died.
20 years after Crowley's death, the Beatles came out with the album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. On the cover of that album were a group of people, I think it was 60-some people, their heads, as if they were all gathered together to watch the Beatles, and they were chosen from among the people the Beatles liked. And right there was the head of Aleister Crowley. And it's that unmistakable portrait where his head is shaved like Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. And he's looking out at us. And when people started to find out about Aleister Crowley, that he experimented in psychedelic drugs, that he was this wild, crazy new religion guy, all of a sudden Crowley became, in the subculture, a pop hero.
Crowley's message about sexual freedom, about social freedom, about challenging authority very much resonated at that time, and a lot of people in the late 60s and early 70s very much embraced Crowley and his message. It was a very good fit. And so you see Crowley turning up on the cover of Sgt. Pepper. You see the words, "Do what thou wilt," kind of inscribed in vinyl on the inner circle of Led Zeppelin's third album.
So when people like Michael Jackson want to get the track outs to fucking the Beatles music, you trying to do the sexual rituals and all that stuff. You ain't fooling me.
I'm all about getting to the root of things, and Mr. Crowley has been instrumental throughout music for before I was born. You know what I mean? Led Zeppelin, Beatles. There's a lot of great artists that are the building blocks for even hip hop. So me understanding that, you know what I mean, and I think it was important for me to, you know, reinstill that. If you didn't know that, if you missed that part, you know what I mean, if you missed that part of the culture of music in general, this beyond hip hop, but just music in general, he's had a big influence on the culture. At first sight, he's the wickedest man alive, right? That's what he's very wicked, man. But if you dig into the poetry and you read between the lines of his poetry and you dig into his story, a lot of the things make more sense to you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it made a lot of sense with me. A lot of the things that he discusses resonates with me. Well, I just want to leave you with this. My album is called Do What Thou Wilt, and it's based off. It's influenced by Crowley's The Book of the Law. Love is the law. Love is the only law. Love under will. The law is for all. And if you read the Christian Bible, that's the only commandment that Jesus left. So also a great quote is the righteous will remain righteous and the filthy will remain filthy. So thinking along those lines, you know what I'm saying, and even do what thou wilt itself, free will is what it kind of sounds like, right? So, all of these, just me, into theology and into history and these things, putting these parallels together, these different ideas, it's just great stuff.
A lot of celebrities worship Aleister Crowley and his works and all the evil shit he was into. And then you're going to have some people that act like he wasn't that evil.
Do what thou wilt is the true nature. There is no such thing as evil. So do what you want. Can you see the Masonic future yet? Can you see the hidden hatred that pulses through its veins? If they believe in do what thou wilt, what do you think they will do to you? And what do you think they'll do in order to build this new world? This is from a commentary on his Book of the Law. The Beast 666 adviseth that all children should be accustomed from infancy to witness every type of sexual act. Do what thou wilt. But here's where the darkness thickens even further. Animals such as black cats or children may be sacrificed, and participants may drink the blood of the sacrifice. An orgy of participants sometimes follows the mass. No remorse, just science, the science of witchcraft, the royal art. And here, what's necessary for the working is the fat of young children, dead children. How many children do you think go missing in Australia every year? That's how many. And what about the world? Is it 1 million? Well, according to the International Centre for Missing and Exploited Children, it's 8 million children per year. Do you think that the highest, most absolute, and most divine knowledge of natural philosophy has anything to do with that? Any chance of an international secret system that is bolstered by initiations and degrees? Am I saying that this Freemason has sacrificed children? No, I never said that. But did he ever even remotely mention the secret societies? Did he ever try to warn you? Educate you? No, he was under oath. Am I saying that these Freemasons have sacrificed children? No, I never said that either. But have they ever warned you about the secret society that believes that Lucifer is the savior? The society functioning right under your nose, that secret society? No, not a chance.
Freemasonry is about to come to an end, nigga. Just know that. And everything y'all practice is going to come to an end. From the lower ranks that don't know shit that's going on, all the way to the top where Lucifer's at. It's all coming to an end. So with that being said, wake up.
This is Aleister Crowley, the famous picture that was also in the Beatles album. Okay? The Beatles believed in him, spoke with him, and had songs of him. Here's the all-seeing eye in the pyramid, and they got the symbol of the Unx and the all sign of Amen, they call him Amen, forgive me for saying it, that's a pagan deity of Egypt, on the top of his pyramid hat. You would think back in the hippie days, look at this stupid guy with the cow. We didn't realize that during the Beatle days and the Stoner days and Iron Butterfly days, we didn't realize when they had these guys' picture on there that they were really part of the cult.
That was their belief system.
That was their rabbi. That was their teacher. That was their pastor.
Michael Jackson had 2 albums that told everything that he was doing. The first album he had that I'm going to show you is his history album. He built a statue of himself like Nebuchadnezzar, because that Nephilim spirit in him wanted to be worshipped. But if you zoom into his arm, there's a number on his arm. And that number is 777. Aleister Crowley's book, 777. Quabalistic writings. Channel Nephilim spirits for fame. Get your songs from the devil.
Not trying to be insensitive, but you is not my relative. All irrelevant conversations take me out my element. I seen a nigga hating on me. Man, don't you be a